you might be thinking, where's our coffee companion this week? Well, we've got one lined up for you. But before we get there was something really urgent that I wanted to share with you this week, and that is a book review on this book here. That's right. So it is the No Rules Rules book, and it is written by the CEO, Reed Hastings of Netflix. And he was given a bit of help by Erin Mayer from INSEAD Business School. So I love this book. I absolutely read it this holiday, and I just thought it had so many applications in the world where we are now. So let me first tell you a little bit about the Netflix story. And then I'm hoping, without too many spoilers, to tell you a little bit about the book, but give you just enough to make sure that you go and buy it, because it definitely is worth the read. So in 2000, Blockbuster had their headquarters in Texas. They had 9,000 rental stores around the world, and they were worth roughly $6 billion. Now, that's a lot of videos, people, and a lot of popcorn. In the same year, Netflix, a little company, had only 100 employees. They had 3,000 subscribers, and they had losses of $57 million. That's hectic, right? At that point in time, Netflix was not what we know it to be today. It was a mail order service to rent DVDs. So you'd go online, you'd rent your DVD, they would use the US Postal Service to post to you, you'd watch it, and you just simply post it back. I wonder if that meant that they actually got the DVDs back faster, because I know of some video shops that are still waiting for videos from people. So Netflix thought, what a great idea if they could combine their service offering with Blockbuster's. Because Blockbuster still was in the video shop mode. It hadn't started using anything more than walk-in, brick-and-mortar kind of setup. So Netflix went to Blockbuster and said, look, let us start Blockbustercom for you, and then we will show you, we will, fulfill your DVD online rentals, and we will then, follow the whole Netflix process, but just for Blockbuster.com. Blockbuster took one look at this and said, no, thank you, not interested. And it's obvious why they did, right? They were a massive success. I don't think anyone thought that was ever going to change. And here's this little company called Netflix with what seems to be an interesting concept, but, let's face it, it sounds a bit odd. And Blockbuster not only said no thank you to them, but Blockbuster said no to innovation. Let's face it, they didn't need to buy Netflix at $57 million loss. Who would? But what Blockbuster didn't do is they didn't take that step to online DVD ordering or rental. They did not do the next step to live video streaming. Now, considering where we started, in 2002, Netflix went public. In 2010, Blockbuster went bankrupt. So that inability to adapt their strategy really shot them in the foot. Here we've got Netflix, this young startup with this bold idea and this bold vision. And I don't think any of us would find it very strange that people that are that innovative then also don't manage their company according to the regular stuff we get taught in MBAs. And this is what the No Rules Rules book is about. Reed Hastings speaks about responsibility and freedom as a way of managing people. He speaks about, there's no freedom if there's no responsibility. And if you don't take responsibility, you can never finish things off and so have freedom. And so he also took it one step further with a couple of interesting strategies on how he implemented this at Netflix. Now, for anyone who doesn't want the spoiler, go la 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 right now. The way that they went about it is they created a three-tier process. The first process was about talent. The second process was about creating clarity And the third section, which I've now forgotten, is to eliminate. Okay, so. And the third section was about eliminating controls. Now, I want to give you a couple of examples of how they did this in each of those phases, but it's important that we just note that when I give you the examples, they actually build on each other. So, for example, in the first phase, they speak of talent density. Now, that sounds incredibly good, but actually, if you think about it, why should we be highlighting this? Should we not be hiring the best talent in our businesses? Should we not be making the best of our talent in our businesses? Should we not be developing the best talent in our businesses? Because you see, if everyone has great talent and they can contribute, they can take responsibility for what they need to do, and they can be given freedom in how they do it. Because they've got the right stuff to get the job done. They don't need to be monitored and babied or micromanaged, whatever the case may be. Now, that people strategy has iteration 1, 2, and 3 in the process. And if you want to know about the other 2, then please go and buy the book. In the second phase of this process, they speak about opening up the books. And this is radical, but this is where anyone in the business can see any of the business books. They can see what people get paid, they can see what suppliers get paid, and it's that transparency that actually helps people understand how the business works and what's great for the business. Because when you've got an expense account of $50, you only see that $50. But when you open up the books, people can see, okay, relative to what we do, how we do it, where the money comes from, what's important, what's urgent, what's critical. People all of a sudden can contextualize the decisions they need to make. Now, that happens in the second phase, and again, there's a first and a third phase to follow. But I don't want to give you too much of a spoiler. So let's take a look at the third phase. And the third phase is really about reinforcing. It's just making sure that this culture is here to stay. Now, one of the interesting aspects of their reinforcing is to eliminate controls. The logic here is that if you give people freedom and responsibility and you remove control, then they get to make the best decisions. And it's not a grudge decision because they understand why they're making it and why it's the best decision. That means no leave policies, no limits on expense accounts, and the like. And people go, what? Do you have any idea how much chaos can be caused? Well, that is the freedom aspect, but that forces people to take responsibility. And I think the logic here is that if you say to someone, here's your expense account and you can spend $50, it's almost like people want to max out $50. If you say to them, here's an unlimited expense account, but oh, by the way, there's freedom and there's responsibility, then people have to think and make good decisions. And of course, there is a constant feedback loop going in the company. People are constantly speaking with each other. And so that is one of the ways that they control, in inverted commas, because they take away the paper controls and then they only manage that which needs to be managed. So I hear you say, Innocent, how does this add up to where we are right now? Why is this so important to be talking about right now? I think that so much has been said in the past 2 years about remote management. We understand that a lot of our managerial practices come from a time when people watched the clock, when you had to arrive at 8, wear a uniform and leave at 5, where everything was scripted and work was rather mundane and routine, and therefore it was really easy to manage by control. A rule was a rule and that was it. But think about it. Those rules probably, or that description probably follows, what was done in the industrial era. Now, everyone that works has to sometimes make up their own mind, has to solve problems. Very few people are still standing there just watching a machine, do something repetitively the whole time. Whether we're a call center agent, whether we are on the executive of a board, whether we have run a small business, whether we are part of a massive and a large, extensive business, all of us at some point in time will multiple times in a day have to make a decision. And it's a decision that was not covered by the rules that were laid down. So why have the rules if we can remove the rules but replace it with freedom and responsibility? Now think about it. Not only in the knowledge era does that sound like a good principle, but with work from home, if we can't manage people because we can't see them sitting working, we've got to find a different way. Again, responsibility and freedom come to play. You have the freedom to work from home, but you have the responsibility to deliver. And whether you see it at that level or whether you see it at the level of a task that says you have the freedom to deliver this the way you want to, or to complete the deliverable to the spec in the way that you want to. However, it is your responsibility to deliver it on time and to the right individual. So I think that reading the No Rules Rules book is really going to help set us free from some really old management practices. And that if we can follow the process, because it's so important that you follow the process step by step, it doesn't help walking in tomorrow and going, okay guys, no more rules, because that's going to leave people without boundaries. First, we have to give them the responsibility and the freedom. And then if we take away the rules, they will understand how to function within that climate of freedom and responsibility. I hope that you have found this interesting. I hope that you're going to buy the book. It is worth it. Not only is it an incredible read, it's an incredibly interesting read and a real page turner. So one gets through it fairly quickly. If you do decide to buy this darling book, please drop us a comment and let us know what you thought about it, what you enjoyed the most, what shocked you the most. There are a couple of those when you come from a really conservative, bureaucratic corporate background. So I'd love to hear from you what you think about it. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please on YouTube, like, subscribe, and then click on the notification bell so you know when the next video is on its way. And then if you are following us from LinkedIn or Facebook, it is so lovely to have you here. We hope to be seeing you soon again. Please will you also like, share, and comment. Tell us what you think about this book. I think it's worth starting a conversation about. And then until next time, I look forward to seeing you at the Performance Cafe.